The light of the lantern. In the village of Suryanagar, where dawn's first rays painted the golden fields, lived a boy named Amar. He was small for his age, with eyes like polished onyx that seemed too vast for his slender frame. Every evening, he'd sit by the old banyan tree outside his home, clutching a battered notebook and a stub of pencil, dreaming of worlds far beyond the rice paddies and dusty lanes. Chapter 1. The Spark of Curiosity. From an early age, Amar asked questions no one else dared. "Why do the stars twinkle?" he'd inquire of his grandmother, who only smiled and said, "That is the dance of the gods." But Amar wanted answers grounded in reason. He yearned to understand patterns, to trace cause and effect. His questions often drew sideways glances or patronizing pats on the head. One humid summer afternoon, the village school teacher, Miss Leela, spotted Amar scribbling fervently on a scrap of paper. Curious, she peered over his shoulder. To her astonishment, his sketches depicted a crude model of the solar system, complete with orbits and annotated labels. "Where did you learn this?" she asked, her eyes bright. "From fragments of books," he replied, voice barely audible. His mother, she whispered, donated old science magazines whenever she could spare them. They arrived in patchwork library boxes, passed from traveling merchants. Miss Leela smiled. "I think it's time we call upon the greater light education." She enrolled him in the evening classes at the county center, a 2-hour walk each way. Amar hesitated. His family needed him at home, to fetch water, to help in the fields, to look after his younger sister, Mira. But when he saw the promise in Miss Leela's eyes, he made a decision. For knowledge, he would sacrifice comfort. Chapter 2. The journey begins. The path to the county center was lined with dense forest. Each evening, Amar carried his satchel, heavy with makeshift books, and set off just as the sun dipped below the horizon. He traced the trail by memory, guided by constellations he'd begun to learn. On one such night, the monsoon rains arrived with ferocity. The trail turned to mud. Rivulets crisscrossed his path, and thunder shook the heavens. Lightning illuminated the forest in stark flashes. Fear clutched his heart, but he pressed on, chest heaving, water seeping through his thin sandals. At the halfway point, he discovered a wounded peacock, its wing torn. Instinctively, he paused. Gathering his courage, he set aside his satchel and fashioned a splint from bamboo and torn cloth. When the bird lay still beneath a sheltering tree, Amar whispered, "Rest, friend. We learn by helping others." He stayed with the peacock until dawn. By first light, its wing was bound tight, its eyes calm. Summoning his last strength, he reached the county center just as the bell tolled. Mud-splattered and exhausted, he stood before the teacher. Miss Leela gasped, but before she could speak, Amar raised a muddy hand and grinned. "I